Thursday, July 14th, we're calling to order the Airport Commission meeting for this month. Determined there is a quorum. Our next item up is the election of officers for the following year. Let's open the floor to discussion. I'll make a motion for president.
Not it.
I nominate Judy to be our next president.
Okay. I will second that.
All right, we have a second.
No, I think it's you, isn't it?
I believe so.
For secretary.
Secretary is easy.
Yeah, you just have to sign something at the end of the
Sign
meeting.
Yeah.
But I need to know for the following year then. because-
Do we need a roll call on this? I forget. Is it just a motion and
Sure.
I, or is it a roll call on each officer?
No, I think a motion is fine, but I don't think you voted.
No, we
No,
haven't
we
voted.
didn't.
No.
We're still having our discussion.
Right, sorry.
Was there any more discussion on president?
No.
Or I should say chairperson?
No, because you were secretary, right? Judy?
Yes, she-
Yes.
So, yeah, you're fine. You're right.
Yeah.
All right, all those in favor of Judy as our next chairperson for the Airport Commission?
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I would like to nominate Electra to be
All
our
right, Electra's
secretary.
been nominated. Do we have a second?
Second.
Judy seconds. All right, all those in favor of Electra taking our secretary position for the following year?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Abstain.
Motion carries.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, and as
We have a running tradition that the new chair has to try to beat the last chair record. So
In terms of the shortest.
for
meeting.
shortest
meeting,
Oh,
but you already did
I already
that.
did
Yeah,
that.
She already did that. She was
Yeah,
acting
She was
chair.
acting.
I
I was
know.
acting chair.
And
That's
how can
true.
she beat her own record? That's nice.
So do I start next time?
You
or
could have
start
it go
now?
You start now.
You started.
I start
that.
now.
You're now the president.
Oh, well, okay.
Oh my God.
That went fast.
You're the decider.
Okay, well, now. Do we have any changes or anything for the minutes from June 9th? Anybody see anything? Okay. Do I have an approval for,
I move we approve the minutes from the June 9th meeting.
I'll second.
all in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? That's done. Any public comment for items not on the agenda?
Nobody's trying to
Nobody's
get
up
into the
there?
room. Nope.
Wait a minute or so and see if somebody's there.
Who's not?
Nope. Okay, item number 5, items for discussion and action, airport construction projects, the FAA grant projects.
As you'll notice, the agenda format kind of changed a little bit. I thought that made it a little bit more clear on who's kind of funding the projects.
That helps.
Makes the most sense. So I regrouped everything a little bit.
I like that.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Runway 725 rehab East End and the threshold relocation project, they are currently ongoing. The rehab portion of it should actually be done either late today or very early tomorrow morning. So that's good. Runway's been closed for pretty much most of this week because of the maintenance. That should be open again. We're gonna break pavement beams to make sure the strength is there probably around noon tomorrow. But I would anticipate tomorrow night at 5 or 6 o'clock, whenever everybody shuts down for the night, we'll be open again. Next week, there will not be any work, but the following week, there might be a couple more days of just finishing up stuff. We needed to keep next week open because OPL has a very big demonstration and they needed a couple of days for prep flying and then the demonstration itself for all of their government officials to kind of coming in there Wednesday and Thursday. So that's the operator performance lab, the research lab over there.
Tom Schnell, if you ever hear his name around university in your department, he's the guy that leads that. I'm only telling you this because you also work at the university, so you might come across his name.
And I'm the HR for engineering, so.
There you go.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's it.
So that's primarily the updates for 725. We did have one change order that happened because the FAA inspector in charge of the Pappy relocation oversight, gave us a little bit different routing of piping than we had planned and wanted to change some of the piping that we were actually using in general. So that increased our costs a little bit, but other than that, so far so good. And
Great.
once this phase gets done, everything will go quiet until early October when we redo the marking and finish up what little bit of lighting work needs to be done
Okay.
in preparation for the approach.
And is there going to be an airport intersection issue at all?
That's just paint, so
Just
that
paint.
won't be until October.
Okay, and
That was when both were closed.
Yeah,
and that'll just be like one day,
that's a half a day.
half a day.
4 hours of site, 4 or 6 hours.
Okay, well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Will there still be night openings for runway 725? So that-
Well, when they're painting, I mean, when they're, halfway painted or something, you really won't really use it because we'll leave it marked.
sure, that's what I'm asking. I
Yeah,
didn't know.
so, they'll be working during the day and it won't be legally marked, so there will be a few days where we won't do it.
Gotcha, that's what I was curious. I don't know if they blast it all off and then paint it all.
They'll come in with a blaster, and the quickest way to do the whole thing is to come in and blast it all, remove it all. I assume they'll do that. If they have enough people, there's some firms that will come in and blast it, come in behind them. That's just possible. I mean, there's nothing that says they shouldn't do that. The tipping will come in and they'll remove everything, and then they'll come in and lay out all the.
But we're not anticipating like 2 weeks of all closed.
I don't remember how many working days we gave for that. It's-
Runway 25? Threshold? Anything else?
That's.
That's
yeah,
basically it.
That's all.
Okay,
Same.
same thing. Okay, the DOT grant?
South Taxiway infrastructure. We do have, and in your packet were the plans for the essentially the rebid, the addendum work. Calls for doing the longer strip of the two. There is a couple of about 20 foot of that section that we're also going to cut off and have as a bid alternate, just to keep the pricing kind of where we are comfortable with. But with the adjustment to the hangar 8 doors and not having that grant, we have a little bit more cash on hand to cover the high bid. But we're going to bid this out. It'll be roughly a $318,000 package at the estimate. And if we happen to hit another 10% overage to get to 340, that's where our budget is
Okay.
for the work in general. So
And so on the page 25 that we got, what are the date changes on that?
on the resolution that was in the packet on paragraph 5, because we had put in the old resolution from last month, do have an amended one for you. The bids open on the 4th of August before 3 p.m. for action at the August 11th commission meeting. Jennifer and I both thought we could slide the old one in there and forgot that we had bid dates in the.
But you've
resolution.
updated that in the final pack.
Yeah, that's right here. if you want to see it.
No, it's okay.
I just know we have to amend that because that's what Scott's name was. So now we'll have to.
No, it doesn't have any.
Chairperson, this doesn't have anything.
No, I mean, in the.
Oh, in your,
In
your,
yours?
The-
Ah,
okay.
We'll get that clean.
okay. That's doable then. Okay, so now we need to consider a resolution.
I move that we consider a resolution rejecting bids received on June 7th, 2020 for the South Hangar infrastructure.
I'll second.
And roll call for this kind, okay. Do we, okay, Electra,
Yes.
I'm yes.
Scott, aye.
Warren,
Warren, Chris. Okay.
The only other thing I wanted to note that I almost forgot about is within the addendum, we're going to give the contractor the ability to do it next spring. So the contract completion date is June 23rd.
Yeah.
Is what we've got in there. Just because we're close to the end of the year, and that also might generate a little bit of savings if they've got some flexibility to either, if they want to do it this year, great, that's awesome, but give some flexibility in there to not have to pay a premium to rush it.
That's not super. expensive, So
Yeah,
there's hangers there that are gonna use it.
you know, Matt's been doing some research on building costs, and unfortunately, I don't expect anybody to be jumping on this in the next year or two.
It's too bad. Yeah.
If we had got this done a couple of years ago, I think we would have been golden, but the way buildings are right now, it's gonna be a struggle to find anybody to do this unless they're planning on being here for 50 years.
Give it 12 months.
See how it goes.
This will
Okay.
look very different in 12 months.
Hangar A doors?
Hangar A doors, just kind of more or less an update from last month. I did talk to the state. State did reject the kind of transitioning it to the cables doors, but they said in the future, that isn't something they've typically funded, but they are getting more and more questions from airports about transitioning from cables to straps on their doors. So that might be a viable project to go after in the next couple of years or so. Beyond that, I'm getting the final billing for the design from Bolton and Mink, and we're gonna send that in as a reimbursement request along with the letter that says we're not doing the project, here's the rest of your money back. And they're okay with that. Because design is good, it's just pricing.
At this point. And we said it could stay about 10 years or something, so that if we get the murals put on them, we're not. tearing them
Yeah, I
apart
mean,
right away.
I made that clearly. We're not gonna come back and do this next year. That's also, we'll talk about the grant program later, but
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, then so Hangar A mural project.
The mural,
Funded.
oh,
No, go ahead.
I didn't particularly have anything as far as an update. I wanted to put it back on the agenda because now that the doors are kind of a dead project, that was the next thing we were doing. So I think as far as a commission and a collective goes, going back to either working through the subcommittee, figuring out what that mural is going to look like, what the fundraiser needs to look like, and then putting stuff together.
Yep, I've got some vacation time coming up that I could set aside to meet with you
Okay.
and we can work on that.
It's pretty clear.
Okay, so let me look at our calendar and we'll get together on that.
Can I join?
Yeah, so 3 though.
3 would be a
Three
cool.
would be a quorum, okay.
Yeah,
So you'd have to post it as a meeting.
I mean, yeah, we can still do it. If you want to do like a work session, we can post it. It's not a.
the
Terrible
alternative is I
issue.
could hand it over to you and you,
Just want to close an observer and learn and then. No,
I think that's fine. Just post it as a meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to have just 24 hours notice.
Yeah,
as
okay.
long as
and
you-
it has to be open and recorded.
Well, if we do it as a work session with just this topic, the minutes are going to be very light.
Okay,
I don't have.
We've done these for the branding project.
okay.
We've done these for the strategic plan. But it's not a big deal. It's like they talk about, like, it's so, yeah, it's not.
So not detailed like what we're doing.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
that's fine. I'll give you some
Get 3
dates.
of us. Yeah,
I'll give you some dates.
Okay.
And we'll just meet here.
yeah, sounds good.
Hey, Mike, is not to change topics, is the parking lot a locally funded project or state? project?
That is locally funded. It didn't make the list. Just as an update, Scott and I met with engineering. We've got the lot configuration sorted out. They're in the process of finalizing plans and getting it bid out, but that still will be done this fall.
It just took sitting down and drawing a circle and saying, this is what we want. And I'm like, oh, okay. It
Okay.
literally took 2 minutes.
Yeah, it should have
Yeah.
been something we did like. 3
Thank
months
you.
ago, but
Thank you for doing that.
Yes, thank you.
I'm just curious.
Yeah,
So this fall.
we'll still have parking.
Okay. Airport operations.
Nothing under the
Oh.
management category,
Okay,
other than at some point in time,
the AEDs.
we did get the AEDs in. The AED is downstairs in the cubby hole right by the staircase. And there's also another one in the shop office.
Okay.
So we did get both of those and both of those are up. As far as Judy, you and I will sit down sometime in the next week and kind of do a commission chairperson review. There's a couple of emergency plans and a checklist just to familiarize yourself with. And then probably look for August where we do walk through of the strategic plan and talk about the next steps, because that's going to be due for a revision.
Mhm.
That's management budget, new budget year, so we don't have any super high profile ticket items in the budget for the year. It was a status quo budget, but in the packet was also the FY 22 budget. Those books will close, I think it's at the end of September, when accounting finally has everything, and the next month is just putting things in the right fiscal year for invoices that come in over the next couple of weeks. But other than that, budget looks similar, kind of where we thought it'd be. Good.
Okay. Any bits?
Nothing new for events either. The movie guys did come out at the end of June. Did their thing. Actually, it was actually more of an overnight thing versus the early evening, but I think it worked. Outside of that, we've got a couple of dates left for the autocross, for the movies, and the pancake breakfast at the end of August.
Great, okay. So, FGO flight training reports.
This may turn out to be a
I was gonna say, she might beat her record.
Might beat your own record.
Oh, don't worry, I'll slow us down.
Make it snappy here.
Yeah. So take one, pass it
Got a lot
around.
on the agenda.
They do have
Pretty well.
Oh, it's in the packet. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, okay, well,
So
That's
that's
okay.
okay.
It's okay.
that's fine.
Appreciate it.
Basically on our end, it's actually rained this summer, so we've had lots of
Yeah.
mowing, which
Lots
is
of
good. Which is nice. That looks a lot nicer out there than being dead. We've done a lot of prep work on the generator X's that are out on the runways running all the time. Other than that, there's nothing really noteworthy. From a maintenance standpoint, unless anybody else has anything, they did go out, I think it was yesterday again, cut down the weeds, or not weeds, the plants that block the word airport in front of our sign. So anyways, that was good. That's pretty much it on maintenance. The guys they haven't been putting on here, but every night when they were reopening the runway, they'd go and do a runway check, just to check for anything that's on the runway is left over from the guys, and then opening it. And then Mike's had a NOTAM out, which has been good, but other than this week is closed totally, where airplanes can call in and get approval after like 3 PM to land, basically. So that way, if they, sometimes they reach a stopping point at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, and then we were able to let people in. It was still very confusing. People just assumed that we would always give them permission in that time frame, but in reality, it was just a way to be able to know that it was a possibility to get permission.
Okay.
But anyway,
So you did have people coming in at night using it.
oh yeah,
So you did.
definitely. Yeah, and we had some of our own airplanes waiting until it was open, sitting in other spots waiting until it was open to come in and stuff like that. It's been interesting watching though. Lots of people have used the shorter runway, jets and everything else, which typically I guess I wouldn't have figured that they would have, but they did. I mean, it's good weather and stuff, so a lot of people have still used the shorter runway, but really, like for our operations, a lot of leaving empty just with fuel to go to Cedar Rapids to get passengers and stuff like that, which that definitely on the jet air side has impacted our side of things. I mean, we were doing over 1,000 gallons a day, and it's been a week, and we've done maybe 2,000 gallons in a week and a half. So it's just a different picture. Which fuel prices are coming down. We just have to sell our high price fuel so that we can buy some cheaper fuel. This week both came down in cost 50 cents a gallon. We haven't taken any of this new cheaper fuel yet, but once we can start getting that in the system, we'll be able to hopefully reduce our prices. Hopefully we're able to take some and get the old inventory moved out. So that would be good. That would help. We're doing we've got some extra help because we don't have as much traffic. We've got the guys painting and redoing our parts room and our bathroom in the shop. They're painting it. We've got a guy coming in to paint the floor and do new lights and everything else, so that the parts room will be less of a dungeon and more of a bright room for inventory and stuff like that. So that'll be good. And getting some new furniture for out there. yes, Mike was right. He mentioned on the building costs, we've gotten, and I still am going through my spreadsheets to do quotes, but it is very unlikely to have to build what we'd like to build anyway, in the near term in terms of hangar, just because of, yeah, just massive costs. If we ordered today a building, we would likely not have it anyway until April at least. So doing the expansion stuff in next summer would be just fine, if you ordered it today. So I do anticipate that to change, and they've alluded to that in their phone calls, that prices might change. But, you know, as we look at price, then you look at a land lease, then you figure out what it costs per month, and we'll bring that when we have it kind of in a full thing so that the commission can see it. You know, in the past, we've done 30-year land leases. Well, shoot, you'd have to be closer to 75 years to come closer to the same break even stuff to even, and that's is assuming you could occupy it for 75 years.
Yeah,
You know, that's like.
Not many of
you-
us could.
Exactly, you know, so it's not likely, but it is really good information to have, and it might help us to have all that information so we can get creative and say, okay, well, if we really do want something to be built there, what is it gonna take to do it, you know? So, and hopefully those prices change, come down a bit, we'll see, but it's hard to know. So, but yeah, any questions for me? Otherwise, that's pretty much it on my end.
No?
All
I
right.
don't think so.
Sounds
Going
good.
well, okay.
Yep,
Any
thanks.
commission member reports for anything?
I have a question.
Mhm.
What about with the signs that were?
The outdoor signs,
Uh-huh.
they're on their way, right?
That's part of the state grant program. Actually, I didn't hand out the things to the rest of you.
Oh, yeah, I got that.
So
I
what
got one.
portion of the yellow?
I'll do a staff update with it.
Oh. I'm trying to find it again.
Here,
I just-
I got one. I got one already. Down here, monument sign, and then the
Yeah,
other
no
side, terminal building improvement. Infrastructure. We have two places where it is. Okay, so we have nothing else than staff report.
Yeah, so.
Go ahead.
The state did release their draft. This is a draft format. It doesn't go to the Transportation Commission until next month. But the draft program for the FY '23 state grant program, aviation program, you'll recall we applied for phase 2 of hangar doors, our wayfinding signage, so that monument sign you just asked about, and the terminal building improvements, which would be signage inside the building, as well as those blocks on the walls that would take care of that plywood piece where the whole baggage transfer doors were. We are on the list for both the sign monument and the terminal building improvements, so that's great. I would expect those grants to be heading our way somewhere between August and September, and
It's like it's just all the signs that we were.
Yep. I guess this, the main one, the monument sign, and then, yeah, the internal ones were wrapped up into the building improvements. So,
That's great.
Anything else?
Won't have anything that I'll be out before the next meeting, but mid-August, like 14th, 15th, 16th, I'm gonna be out for a couple of days.
Anything else? Next meeting will be August 11th. Is that everybody going to be here? Any plans on it? Let's go. Motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn the commission meeting.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay,
Forty-five minutes.
We did it.